Hey everyone, this is acyuta-bhava from Nightlight Astrology. Today we're going to take a look at Mars's square to Jupiter, which is perfecting this week. Yesterday we took a look at Mercury's square to Neptune, which is also perfecting today. So if you missed that, be sure to go back and listen to it. Today it's Mars and Jupiter. So Mars is in the sign of Scorpio, culminating, about ready to change into the sign of Sagittarius this month. Jupiter is in the last degrees of Aquarius, and the two are squaring one another right now. So we're going to take a look at an ancient delineation text and what it says about the combinations of Mars and Jupiter. Got a few things I'm going to quote from Ren Butler's book. He was my favorite cookbook. So a bunch of good things today, and hopefully we'll get you prepared for this particular transit. In the meantime, I am now let's see, here's my Kickstarter. I am 830 backers away from our goal this year. We have already gained the support of about 537 backers, but we are still 830 short of our goal. We have not a lot of time left, just 25 days, and we run until New Year's Eve. So you have some time yet to pitch in if you haven't. I still need 830 audience members to pitch in to help us meet our goal this year. So if you love this channel, if you like it, if you subscribe, if you listen regularly, if this is a space where you come for astrological insight and spiritual guidance, then please consider contributing and supporting me, supporting this channel, supporting my staff, me and my family. We really appreciate it and can't do this work without you. When you donate, you can pick up a variety of different rewards. You can pick up the Astrology of 2022 video. You can pick up a year ahead horoscope reading that goes throughout the whole year worth of astrology for your sun or rising sign. There's some horary readings left. And the best gift is the reward that you can choose is attending one of my classes. You can get 50% off the normal cost of any of my online programs. You can also bundle them together and save. So if you're like, I want to take your year 1 and 2 programs, you can buy them together in a bundle, save more than 50% off when you get 2 of them together. And then you can use them whenever you want. You could take year 1 in 2022 in June or November. You could save it till 2023 when you had more time. You could also bundle them and take year 1 in 2022, take year 2 in 2023. So, and you can bundle, I have 4 one-year-long programs, and they're all really amazing programs that are designed for people who are interested in taking astrology to the next level in their lives, whether it's personal or professional. So you can bundle 3 programs together or all 4 together. And every time you bundle another one together, the price goes down. So these are also significantly cheaper than my early bird rate every year. It's the best way to save if you're going to take one of my classes. Would love to see some of you there and also gain your support for the Kickstarter. But even if you can't donate, thank you to everyone who already has, by the way. I really appreciate it. But even if you can't, your prayers, your clicks, your likes, your subscribes, all that stuff is really helpful as well. So thank you guys so much. We're making good progress, still have a long ways to go. So click on the link that's in the comment section of this video or the description of this video to pop in and show us that you care and that you're supporting this channel in the year ahead. All right, well, that being said, we're going to turn our attention now to Mars and Jupiter. Let's go ahead and put Mars and Jupiter up on the real-time clock. And you can see here that Mars is in the later degrees of Scorpio, just about to turn into that 26th degree. And there's Jupiter at 2619 of Aquarius. So let's watch what happens when we animate this chart and go forward just a day from now. So in a day from now, you'll see that Mars has jumped at 2641, Jupiter's at 2628. So just passing over the square. If we move it forward another day, then Mars is at about 27 degrees. Actually, it's about 3-degree range. So all the way until Sunday, Mars and Jupiter are hanging out together in a pretty close square. And then going into Monday, you'll see that Jupiter's going to hop into Sagittarius, where it now is in Jupiter sign. So it has reception with Jupiter. So the Mars-Jupiter energy is really banging on the door right now. And we want to talk about what this is all about. Some of you may be noticing that Venus is, I'm going to put in the outer planets here just for a second. You may notice that Venus is approaching Pluto. So Venus-Pluto is going to take up a good amount of the rest of our week. We're covering things today like Mercury and Neptune, which are perfecting today. We're looking at Mars, Jupiter, which is perfecting tomorrow. But don't worry, we haven't forgotten. Venus and Pluto will take up a good amount of our time. I think I'll probably be doing a two-part series on Venus's conjunction with Pluto. So that's definitely coming up. So in case you're wondering, we will be spending some time with that. But okay, so I want to read you guys something. This comes from a later an astrologer from the later Roman Empire named Julius Firmicus Maternus, who wrote a text called Mathesis. And there's a delineation section. This is like the delineation section that works with aspects between planets and then gives something like a cookbook. So I want to take a look at Mars and Jupiter in this section and just read you some of the different things this ancient author says. Now, time, place, and circumstance are important. We don't live in the ancient world. So we have to try to understand the archetypal essence of what's being said here in these delineation passages and, apply it to our own day. So I'm going to read to you, first of all, when Jupiter and Mars are configured by a trine. Now, remember, trines are of the nature of Jupiter. They were considered a very benefic aspect in ancient astrology. So we should just notice how positive this sounds. If Jupiter is conjoined with Mars by a trine, and they are both posited in fortunate houses of the nativity and separated from all humilities of dejections, this basically means, are they well dignified accidentally? Are they in good houses, not difficult houses? They denote the greatest commands of dignity. So, in other words, they give power, or the footnote here says they give power or dignity bestowed upon them from ruling people, and it also makes them very active people, and great power of free action. And they make persons of the sort who complete all of their actions in the most fortunate manner. And also they denote offices of the greatest administration, and they make such persons as those upon whom frequent honors are conferred by royal decrees. So, of course, again, time, place, and circumstance. We don't live in the Roman Empire, so, but thankfully, I guess. But a few things that are said here when you think about the positive expressions of Jupiter and Mars. One, these people seem to command respect from people who have authority or power to bless or grant success. Your boss, for example. They also suggest people who have great power and free action. Not all of us have great power and free action. A lot of us are very limited by circumstances. So this implies some degree of freedom in action and great power. This speaks to people who complete their actions in a fortunate way. So there's success in doing things, which is very Mars-Jupiter-like combination. And then people who have some kind of prestige, and also people who are awarded things. So now let's go forward just a little bit, and I want to talk about what happens when we get these two into a square with one another. To find the passage here, it is, here we go. Okay, so in another section, when Jupiter and Mars are in a square, if Jupiter and Mars are conjoined in square aspect, and Jupiter is in the superior position. Now, this is important. I'm actually going to pull up the chart and show you guys the difference. So here's the real-time clock. And imagine now that when you're doing an aspect in ancient astrology, you're going to pull out the outer planets to make this look a little bit more like a traditional astrology chart. And you're looking inward to the center of the wheel from any planet. Imagine that that the planet is like a person, and your eyes are looking in toward the center of the circle. If the aspect that you are making is to your right-hand side, so in this case, Mars is if you imagine you're Mars and you're standing into the center of the circle, the aspect to Jupiter is coming off your right shoulder, if you can kind of imagine that. And Jupiter, on the other hand, if it's looking into the middle of the circle, the aspect to Mars is coming off from your left hand shoulder. So it's going to the left. So in ancient astrology, the order or the way in which the two planets are configured to one another will always make one planet in the superior or more dominant position over the other. The other one would be called the inferior position. You can also think about this as kind of like which one is more active and which one is more receptive, or yin or yang. So first of all, this passage begins by saying if Jupiter's in the superior position, for that would mean that this ray was coming off from Jupiter's right side, but it's not. It's coming off Jupiter's left. But listen to what happens if Jupiter is in the dominant position, impressing itself upon Mars. It connotes the insignia of the greatest fame and always makes the same persons known by good recognition and denotes famous insignia of honor. It will make some to be involved in military positions. It assigns others to royal households, and it denotes duties in noble and public activities, gives them elevation in official duties, so they pursue these duties with the greatest increase of dignity. Okay, so first of all, notice how similar it sounds when Jupiter is in the superior position over Mars to the Mars-Jupiter trine. There's a lot of honor, success, prestige associated with this, people who are successful in the actions they take and so forth. But if you turn it around, but he does go on to say, but these persons are never, by the way, before I go into this, notice he does say Mars, squares are of the nature of Mars. So he does mention that this one, the square, unlike the trine, can point to military matters. It's a little bit more Marsy, the square in general. But then he goes on to say, these persons are not able to preserve their assets. Like there's something wasteful that might be present in their life. That's an interesting side note that he gives right there. So, but overall, you can see that in general, if Jupiter were to be in the dominant position, that it would carry many of the same significations as the trine: success, etc., powerful people, success, recognition, and so forth. But it does indicate a little bit more warfare and the potential for wastefulness. Jupiter overtaking Mars in the superior position in a square. Now he says, but if Mars is superior, and that's what we have here. Remember, this is coming off from Mars's right-hand side as Mars looks into the center of the circle. So we do have Mars in the superior position. That configuration sharpens every mental impulse exceedingly. So now we're talking about Jupiter as a planet of wisdom, and now with Mars asserting itself over Jupiter, we're saying that wisdom quality becomes very sharp. That's interesting. But then he says, but it will make them to go wrong in their life with various kinds of errors. So there's something also that might become impulsive or reckless when Mars is in the dominant position. Without cause, it causes men to suffer the inconveniences of great toil. Mars is the planet of frustration, and Jupiter is the planet of greatness. So when Mars is overtaking Jupiter, there can be this sense of great inconvenience or toil or difficulty. Then he says, but that toil comes from either public or royal actions. And furthermore, it denotes more fully the dangers of bad insinuations and bitter accusations from the aggressive zeal of their enemies. So he says that they're more prone to getting into frustrating situations, a lot of toil and hard work, a lot of inconvenience. There's still an aura of like success or power around it, but more danger and problems with your enemies. So this is really important because not every square is built the same. In this case, we have a square where Mars is the superior planet over Jupiter, which means that some of those qualities of fighting and conflict can be just a little bit more dominant and maybe a little bit more present this week, which is why I wanted to show you the difference. Listen to what Ren Butler says about the negative qualities of Mars-Jupiter, which would apply in this case because Mars is overcoming Jupiter. Impulses towards self-glorification and self-aggrandizement, inordinate needs for honor, glory, and prestige, habitual bombast and stridency, obnoxious theatrics, a competitive spirit, big shot inflation. The ideals of nationalism and expansionism, a might makes right philosophy, urges to side with the strong, the spoils of war, history written by the victors, aristocratic and genteel violence, etc., tendencies toward restlessness and overexertion, acting in haste. So those are the kinds of things that you want to watch for this week. I'm not trying to say that this is just purely some kind of negative transit, but with Mars dominating over Jupiter, you do have the potential for some of those qualities to come up. Now, generally speaking, Mars and Jupiter bring about some things that are pretty good as well. And I would just remind us that, we are also about to see Mars change into Jupiter's sign and Jupiter pick up dignity in the next couple of weeks, which means that this combination is really going to be with us for a little while now and should become more positive subjectively given the reception that's about to be created, that's about to be present with Jupiter, with Mars moving into Jupiter's sign. It's like now they have more rapport and there's going to be more positive significations generally. Action and confidence, success or victory, mobilization of your resources. Sometimes there's conflict, but it's for some kind of noble cause. There's inflation of Mars energies for better or worse. There's the swagger and there's the machismo. Sometimes you need a little bit of swagger to get something done. You need a little bit of confidence. You need a little cocksure feeling of this risk is worthwhile. I'm going to take it. It can be defiant and rebellious or idealistic, driven by idealistic fervor, zeal, rage. Be careful of dogmatic combativeness, all work and no play, or the expansion of like work qualities to the point where it's like you're taking life steroids for a little while. Be careful of that. Whatever I want, I'll just take it. Domineering and boasting. These are the kinds of qualities, to watch out for generally. What I love about this transit is the way that Mars Jupiter gets stuff done. It tends to get things done successfully with the square, maybe with a little bit of conflict or stress, but it does get stuff done. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. Just a little take on that Mars Jupiter energy that's perfecting. Of course, it's perfecting in the houses of Aquarius and of Scorpio. And so you should also take a look at your birth chart. Where do you see this forming right now? For example, in my own chart, I have Mars in Scorpio in the 7th and Jupiter in Aquarius in the 10th. And my wife and I were having almost like a strategy planning session about some of the future. My wife's about to take a year-long sabbatical, just a little bit of a break after trying to be full-time mom and full-time herbalist for the past 6 years, and just kind of taking it down a notch to take some time to reflect. And so it was like strategy planning last night about her career. So Mars in the 7th, Jupiter in the 10th, really not much about me, but a lot of planning and strategy and deep conversations about what's going on for her. And I thought, oh, that's perfect. There's Mars in my 7th squaring Jupiter in the 10th. So look at those whole sign houses in your birth chart to see where the action or what topics are being activated generally by this transit. That'll probably give you a lot of insight. Don't forget, I really need your patronage and support. We have still 830 backers that we need in 25 days. So we're a little bit ahead of pace from last year, but not a lot. So, I'm trying to make sure that we stay on pace. We need probably like 20 backers a day, a little bit more than that, to really make sure we have a good push toward the end here. So appreciate your patronage and support. If you have a story to share as well, use the hashtag grabbed and then put the aspect. Is it Mars, Jupiter? Is it Mercury square Neptune? Tell us a story. We'll probably be doing some sharing here sometime this month if the astrology allows it. There's so many things to cover this month. So this week still we'll be looking at Venus, Pluto, and the conjunction coming up, which is a long-standing conjunction. So things should get pretty interesting with that one. Anyway, that's what I've got for you guys. I hope you guys have a beautiful day today and a great rest of your week. And I look forward to talking to you guys again tomorrow. All right, bye.